Today is Thursday, February the 8th, 2024, and welcome to episode 82 of Rural Reliance with Canny Couple. I'm Julia.
And I'm Aaron.
We're a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that work every single day to merge homesteading and frugality while living debt-free.
Exactly.
And today we want to talk about what everybody's thinking about.
It's that time of year.
It is. Let's start getting ready for the garden.
Yep.
We're all excited. We're ready. We're ready to get something in the ground. It has been cold, wet, just a dreary winter.
And then we have, one of those magical warm weeks, and you're like, let's go. Spring's here.
Let's get this done.
But this is like fall spring.
It is. It is for us. So it's time to start figuring out how to plant. And today we want to talk about new seed varieties that we're going to be planting in 2024. Might be talking about some old ones, and these are because we're so excited or they were such a good variety of seeds.
Right.
But for the most part, we're going to be talking about new seed varieties we're really excited about. And then we're also going to tell you our tips and tricks for picking out new seed varieties.
Mm-hmm.
The things we look for.
And then on Saturday, our video is going to be about our tried and true seeds. Which ones have,
work for us for at least 2 years, get good production, good everything, and just the seed varieties we really
And we're going to plant those all the time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Never fails. We look for these particular types. So
yeah.
Good call on letting them know that. So what are we looking to do with our garden this year?
So we're trying to reduce our grocery budget even more.
Yeah.
So we're looking at things we eat on a regular basis.
I don't think we picked out anything this year that we don't eat.
Right. Something that we are or use to make something we eat, for example.
Right. Yeah. Like, we didn't pick out any weird vegetables at all this year, did we?
That one melon.
That one melon? Well, that's different, though. It's a melon. I don't really consider that a different one. Like, I like melons. It's not like the kohlrabi. Yeah. We didn't even know what it tasted like. We had no idea we weren't going to be able to try it. Now, before we actually started trying to plant beets, we've kind of got hit or miss on beet production. I'm hoping for a much better year this year. We did try them at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. But the problem is a lot of the things Aaron's interested in.
Our grocery stores around this area, you ain't going to find anything like some of these.
We do try to go when we go to a larger city.
To a grocery store to find some of this stuff just to see if it's worth our time,
We'll go into a whole bunch of different grocery stores looking for fruits. That's what we do. Yeah. We rummage around the fruits and vegetable section. To see if we can find them. But we're looking at production as well. We're wanting to amp our production. Now, we had really good production on our winter squash and pumpkins. We want to make sure we're keeping that production going. We're going to need the same. Now, what I'm worried about is we had a really weird year last year.
And, it was wet.
It was very wet.
At the beginning, which kept us from having to water it. Are we going to be that lucky this year?
I'll probably be watering.
We'll probably water.
Probably water and probably have to have sunshade out.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind. So we're looking at that, really focusing on work well, and we're focusing on the basics, just our basic needs. And we're also looking at crops that, looking at things that we can grow in the style we like to grow.
Yes.
So here's some of the varieties we're really excited about. Let's start with cucumbers. So this year with cucumbers, I actually started making relish.
We did, and that was something new for us, and we weren't for sure
how that was going to work.
How it was going to turn out, but it turned out great. So what we do use relish for is for potato salad. Maybe if we have enough relish or something, maybe it's for hot dogs. Maybe, it's like a treat for something like that. But our cucumber production was...
Okay.
It was the deer. So, it could have been better.
And we didn't have the right cucumbers.
Well,
for the pickling. The relish was okay because we used these white cucumbers and they produced really well for us. They produced really well. But they're softer. They didn't do as well. They didn't hold as well for the pickles. Aaron likes the pickles. He says they're home pickles. So I'm still trying to work through. That was my first year ever doing any pickles.
Right. Yeah. And the section where we had them wasn't deer protected.
No.
So now they're moving into the garden to be deer protected as well, which should boost our production.
Well, that area is getting deer protected this year.
Well, right, but that ain't where the cucumbers are going.
Well, some of them will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some of the cucumbers will be good there. We have a lot of cucumbers to plant. The garden's not his thing. So we have two that I'm excited about for pickles, relish, and fresh eating. The first one is a Richmond green apple. And it is from Baker Creek, and it looks like a little round, like green apple.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It looks like it's going to be really crisp and sweet. And this is one they say is really good for fresh eating. So I'm excited. I like a smaller cucumber for us for fresh eating. I don't like, I'll cut up a whole bunch, but I like that smaller, and I like, it doesn't look very spiny. So that means I don't have to peel it and do a lot of extra work for it. And that's what I like in a fresh eating cucumber. I like to be able to slice them, wash them, slice them, and be done. None of that other stuff. And it says it's sweet. So that is good too, because I'm not really fond of a bitter cucumber. I eat them more than Aaron does fresh eating. That is still one of the things that bothers him pretty bad.
Yes. So I had my gallbladder taken out a couple of years ago, and nothing really bothers me except cucumbers, and they did before that.
They did before that. And
as well.
Jalapenos, if they're not pickled. Jalapenos, if they're not pickled, they will bother him every time. But if they're pickled, he's fine.
But I love them.
He loves them. He loves them. The next one is Boston pickling. This one is an heirloom. It's vigorous, and they say it's perfect. It stays really good and crisp, and it looks it. It looks amazing. So I'm really excited about that, so he can get some really good fresh pickles. I'm hoping I can maybe try a couple different, like, brines for him to see which one he likes most. You keep hearing me say, for him.
She ain't going to eat pickles.
I don't eat pickles. I will eat a fresh cucumber. I will not eat a pickle.
Something for me and the baby, then.
I don't think she's going to eat them either. She's like her mama. She's picky. So, tomatoes are next. Now, we don't eat tomatoes fresh.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Not as much as people would think with how many we grow.
Right. I mean, we have enough most of the time. We could eat it every day, but we honestly use them all for preserving because we eat so much tomato-based
food.
Yeah, canned tomatoes throughout the year.
I mean, as you've noticed in our videos, I use canned tomatoes just about once a week.
I was going to say, I think we have every week, ain't we?
So this first one is one that we have grown, and you'll hear about it again, but I have to talk about it. I have to. It's the Heinz processor. It is the best. It's one of the best.
It is, and they're all the same size.
Like 2 to 3 inches in diameter. They do really well. They didn't get affected by blight last year, and even though they were stunted when I first put them out, I didn't get these out for a long time. They were really like getting into the ground. They still grew. They still produced. They're just so good. They really are. They're just such a good tomato. I can't say enough about them. The other thing is I found a disease-resistant Roma. Yeah, so now, we did get the Romas from Buffalo Seed Company.
And they were amazing.
They were wonderful.
Till the blight hit.
Yeah. And we got a good crop. We got an amazing crop with the blight. But I think the weeds kind of helped.
Yeah. So we'll see, how this one does in comparison. And we did get some of that other variety again as well.
We did.
Just because
they did so well. We liked them. But I did get a disease-resistant one because I'm really kind of hoping to fight through that. I only found one. I can't remember where we got it from, but I had a really hard time finding an aroma that was disease-resistant, remember?
Yeah, and I do not remember where we got that one from.
I'm wondering, I can't
We don't use many seed companies. So,
but we buy, we know what we buy from where we buy from.
Right.
Peppers. Now, we grew a lot of different hot peppers. This year, we're adding a new one.
We're going to try Tabasco this year.
Yep.
Okay, so whether it's making fire cider, whether it's dehydrating them for a
garlic and honey,
something like that, or dehydrating them for a like a seasoning, making a seasoning out of them, or hot sauce, like she said,
Buffalo sauce, that's something I'm looking forward to trying to make ourselves because we do eat a lot of buffalo sauce. I'd like to find one that isn't too on the peppery flavor, but it's creamy and good. It just has really nice taste to it. It's got that heat, but not like super peppery. We have one right now. It's good, but it's very peppery, very hot.
It was a cayenne.
It's very hot, so
It was good. But yeah, Tabasco, we should have lots of uses for it, determined from the amount of spices we usually eat.
absolutely. Melons. I don't know how to say
Yeah,
this
I don't
one.
know how to say this one. You want to spell it?
Kajori. Kajori. We're butchering this. We know we are. We
Yeah.
apologize. We apologize. Please do not flame us for not being able to pronounce these. It doesn't flow off the southern tongue very well. These, what I'm excited about this is it kind of looks like a cross between a cantaloupe and a watermelon. That's not what they say on it, and this is from Baker Creek. That's what it looks like, and it's orange with like this green stripe through it. It's beautiful looking, but when you look at it, you're like, man, that kind of looks like a cantaloupe melon mixture. It looks really good. I love cantaloupe. I would plant cantaloupes any day over a watermelon, personally. Erin doesn't like cantaloupe.
Well, I was hoping she would eat more watermelon. She got into them when
I had to.
for Isabel, So
When I had to.
yes, but we didn't eat as many last year, so we're cutting back on that some because it was just me and
You and your dad.
me and my dad were going with
I would cut it up,
send him a bowl home. Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna try this just to see,
if we can find
we
one.
would like to have something else fresh melon wise to eat that both of us would enjoy.
Yeah, and it might be something we keep trying. I did like the baby doll. What I kept having a big problem was a lot of the seeds were so many. Like, there were some I told Aaron, I said, I'm not growing. There's too many seeds here. I will never grow this again. Because all I was doing was dealing with seeds, and it was frustrating. Especially like when you cut out like all of it, and like the whole inside is seeds except for like one little sliver. And that's something you deal with melons, but these are like this big and all seeds.
Yeah, for the size, it was way too many seeds. I mean, hey, it's great if you're preserving, but I myself even got tired of spitting or picking out seeds just because how many there were.
Pumpkins. So I was so happy with our pumpkin production. So happy with our pumpkin production this year, and I'm really excited for this year as well. So a new variety, and we stuck with the ones we knew really well. But this variety we're doing is called Baby Bear, and these are supposed to get between 1.5 to 3 pounds. So not too big, not too small. Great. Perfect for trellis seed.
Yes,
they say the seeds are really good for eating if you want to preserve them and eat them. And then the inside's really good for pies and eating. So that's really what we look for. When I'm looking at pumpkins, I only look for ones that are good for eating. I don't look for decorations. I don't look for anything like that. This one they say is great for little kids. I don't care. I don't care that this one's great for little kids to carry around. I really care about what does it taste like. Is it going to make a good pie? Because we are a pumpkin pie family.
Yep.
Like, to the max extreme. We love pumpkin, if you haven't noticed. Winter squash. So this first one is new. It's called an autumn frost. It's similar to a butternut, but it's a little bit smaller. It looks like a butternut. It looks on the inside. It's got that same yellow flavor. The outside is almost as pale, but it kind of has like this pinkish, like you kind of think of autumn when you look at it. Kind of looks like this like reddish pink color. And it's supposed to be very similar to butternut squash, which we love. Butternut squashes we've had better luck with last year. But it's one squash that I tend to fight with more than anything.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that one would be one, but we love them.
We love them.
So
we do them every year.
Yeah, whether even we get a couple, we're happy.
Like before, it was like we got 2. Yeah. We got 2. We're good. North Georgia Candy Roasters. We did grow these last year.
Yes.
And these were amazing. I do think we got these from a different site though this year.
compared to last year. So I think we got them for hosses this year, and before I think we might have gone from pine tree or something.
They're just one of these. We kind of
looks like a banana.
It does, but it's got like a green stripe through it. Now the banana will be more of a pinkish color. The banana is the one that has a tendency to get massive. Like we've had bananas that have been every bit of like this big.
If you watch some of our older videos,
wide. I mean, they're huge. If I had a choice between a banana and this roaster, I'm picking this roaster every day and twice on Sunday. It was that good. I thought it was a banana. We cut it open and we cooked it, and it was actually one that when I cooked it, I was mashing it and it was too thin. So I was like, oh, this is really thin. I don't know what I need to do to fix it. So I actually threw a little flour in it to thicken it up, and Aaron thought I was nuts.
I did.
Whenever I did this. But it was so good.
It was.
It was so good. It was amazing. It was one of the best squashes. One of the best mashed squashes I've ever made. I've not been able to replicate it. Now, we did pick up a new zucchini, and this is the last new variety we're going to talk about. And this one is a long white. Now, this is from Italy, and it's an old variety, and it's very beautiful looking in the pictures. This is another one from Baker Creek. We always find new things at Baker.
Wow, that's what they're known for.
That's what they're known for, these new rare varieties. But it's this really pretty, beautiful, like creamy greenish white color. It's not the dark green you typically think of as zucchini. It's this really pale, creamy green color.
Yeah, my only concern is I hope it's not really like another Tromboncino, because we don't need more of those.
Well, this is a summer squash.
Right, I know, but some people say, Tromboncino
I don't think it does.
If you get it green,
Well, we've never tried a Tromboncino green.
That's true. We
have never tried one green. We should.
We probably should this year.
But we never have. And it's supposed to be prolific. So, let's tell everybody what we look for when we're looking at new seed varieties. So, we got a list of 8 things that we look for. We'll go over them and talk about why on each one. So, we just said prolific. That's number one. Production.
How prolific they are, how well is it good to grow, germination wise, those type of things. I will say one of the only bad germination type ones we actually do is the Blue Hubbard. But if you get a couple of those,
they can get huge. They're massive. You only need a handful. So we look at production. It's a big thing for us. We want to know how much it's producing. We don't just look at this whenever we're doing seeds. We're looking at this for everything. If it says it's hard to germinate, hard to fruit, don't even look at it. That's an X on my list. Not dealing with it. Don't want to even bother.
I don't even know why we tried the Blue Hubbard to begin with. I think it's probably just me finding weird varieties.
It probably was.
Oh, it was because it was one of the, earliest heirlooms, I think is what it was. So that's why I was like, oh, yeah, check.
The next one is disease tolerant. This is with a few, distinct plants that we look at. Like, we're looking tomatoes, things like that. Like, Heinz is pretty disease tolerant. Around here, blight is pretty
regular.
It just is. You deal with it around here. It's nothing to hear somebody say, oh, the blight got my garden again this year. And you kind of just have to suck it up and deal with it. You treat it the best you can. You try to combat it. We're trying to figure out ways around it ourselves. But disease tolerance is important. We don't want something that's going to affect our soil, affect our garden. So we're really making sure we look at these things whenever we look at a seed variety. Heat tolerance.
So
if it's delicate, spinach does not do well for us.
It does not. So that is
it can't handle the heat. We love spinach.
And usually it's either too cold for it to begin with, and we haven't been having a spring. We've been going from winter to summer, which makes it hard to grow those type of things there. And maybe it's something spinach we can do underneath the cold frames here, coming up or so, but it's that's why we have to look for heat tolerant, because it's nothing to have lots of 90-degree days for us throughout the summer. Like I think last year, like in July or so, I think it was like half the month in 90 degrees.
And a lot of people, and it's not just the heat.
It's humidity.
It's the
for
humidity. Like, we're not a dry heat.
Mm-hmm.
That it's become suffocating.
Yeah.
It's just suffocating. Like, you cannot go outside between a certain time frame. So we look at length of days. Now, my exception to this rule is going to be my winter squash and pumpkins. Typically, look at that. Rutabagas, it's over 100 days. We have 180-ish days in our zone. It's how long we have to grow.
We've had shorter. We've had way longer.
I tend to lean. I want my garden done. I want my garden done like in the middle of October. That's like the last. I'm willing to push it.
Yeah, we tried to November the year before. Didn't make it till then, and one year we didn't. It could have made it to that time in November.
So it's just one of those things that we really look at. And like last year, I did not get rutabagas in the ground for Aaron. It didn't happen. This year, they're going in the ground with the spring garden. Mm-hmm. It's over 100 days. He loves them. I'm going to make sure he gets his rutabagas because it's one of his favorite things. Yeah. And he didn't have them last year.
So, I mean, with that length of days, though, we look at it, too, about succession planning. Okay, yes. Like, can we get 2 or 3 things in the ground in this spot, during our length of time?
So how we did our summer squash this year, we'll do a video on this because it really worked really well for us. We had 2 rows of summer squash, and I said, okay, we're going to plant. Aaron didn't. He thought I was nuts. He thought I was insane. I said, go down through here, dig me holes. I'm going to show you where I want holes. Dig me holes this far away. And then do the same on the other side. We planted one side and let those come up. Waited, I think, 3 weeks, planted the next side, and that's how come we had so much squash for so long.
Yeah.
And we were getting squash from the one side for as long as we were getting. I mean, it really worked out very well for us. And then when that side was completely dead, the other side was still producing for a couple more weeks. So we kind of planned this out to where we were having a constant supply, sometimes 2 to 3 buckets full of squash. So we look at those length of days. 8 ball is zucchini.
It's one of the shortest days.
35 days. So, and if we're like cutting close to that 180 days, we might plant an 8 ball.
Yeah, we've tried that before.
We got close. We got really close.
We had little ones forming, but
it hit early.
It hit early that year. But I mean, if you're trying to get something, last minute, something like a 30-day variety of something, it's worth the shot, to up your food production.
Absolutely. I mean, it really is. And those summer squashes are really good for us, especially zucchini. They have so many zucchini varieties, which my personal preference is going to always be a yellow squash. I like it better. I like the taste better. But I know most people prefer a zucchini to yellow squash. We like them both, though. Do we like it? This is a priority now.
It is. We've tried a lot of varieties of stuff that we haven't liked, per se.
So we have to have a need for it. So, we don't know if we're going to like Tabasco, but we have other uses for it. We should like Tabasco.
Because we have a lot of Tabasco sauce stuff,
But we're using it for health purposes as well. The horseradish, I can tell you right now, I don't like horseradish. But we're growing it for fire cider, for health reasons, for future needs. Yeah. So that is what we're looking at when we go through these. But for the most part, our edible, we are going to eat this garden is food that we will eat. Broccoli, carrots, sweet potatoes, potatoes,
tomatoes, zucchini, squashes,
winter squashes, pumpkin,
beets.
We keep it very, very simple. Rutabagas for Aaron, there's some things that I grow specifically for him, some things that I grow for me. But most of the time we eat about the same thing.
We do. I would say rutabaga is probably the only thing that, unless it's like a a health one, like horseradish or something that you wouldn't eat.
Yeah. It's not my favorite. It's just really not my favorite. The lettuces.
We're gonna work on that.
He could try. um, does it fit our growing style?
Vertical, small space. We're not gonna grow, you know, 200-300 pound pumpkins because we don't have no room to grow 200 or 300 pound pumpkins. We're looking at stuff that can trail us easily, or, for example, I know we said Blue Hubbard earlier. Okay, those things could get 50 pounds, but we're not going to have many of them, and they're positioned where,
we're looking at those and we're getting them propped up.
Right.
We're getting them propped up. It's what we did last year. I had some containers, went up, propped them up. If I have to, I'll get a bucket.
Right.
Put a bucket up underneath it to hold it up. And that's really what you do with that. Like, if it's that big. Most of the time, though, it's mostly little ones. And the little ones grow amazing. And the Trumbuchinos, they grow. Yeah. Like, if you can get them long, they're so much easier to deal with. So much easier to deal with when they're just straight.
Yeah, so I mean, we're looking at that easy stuff to put in the ground or raised beds or something like that,
Yeah, just very easy to deal with and manage. The next thing is zone.
So we got to make sure, it fits our zone. So we are, depending on where you look, anywhere from zone 6A to 7. So
we tend to lean toward
the 6. Just because,
as a precaution.
Right. So it might be 7 in town off the mountain, but more than likely we're probably closer to 6 on top of the mountain. So that's why we always look at it that way. But we make sure we're not growing anything for zone 8s, zone 9, zone 10.
We'd love to grow some sugar cane.
Gosh, yeah.
But it's a grow up here. No. We have too short of a season. Like, you're seeing people like Hoss and Lazy Dog Farm and other places that are already putting things in the ground. Like, we can't even we can't even uncover our ground for another 2 months.
Right.
I mean, we're not even going to start prepping until like April, and well, except for the potato patch. Now, the potato patch is different. Around here, you get your taters in the ground at the end of March. That's kind of when it works. And it works out really well for us. We've always said it that way. But potatoes are a bit different, and they're very forgiving. They really are. But for the most part, I mean, we really look at those zones to make sure that, again, you're looking at your length of days. How long does it need to be in the ground?
Right.
If it's something that's going to be 200 days,
it can work here.
It's not going to work. It might work 1 year, but I could tell you, it's not going to work for you every single year. You could try it. You could maybe try growing it indoors, but it's going to get big before it's ready to go outside. Yeah. Now, this is huge. This last one. It's massive. It is storage and processing.
How well does it store? How well can we process it? Does it keep for a long period of time? Because we are looking at this from ability to put up food to last us through the winter, to last us through the pantry challenge, to last us till spring.
Well, and not only that, but is it all going to come in at the exact same time, and I have to process it all at the same time? So how much wiggle room do I have? Like, I love processing blueberries because blueberries I can stick in the refrigerator. They're good for like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. Like, they last forever in our refrigerator. I can't do that with raspberries. Raspberries is a day.
Next day.
Like, it's a next day thing. It has to go up. We've learned that many times from experience.
Yeah.
But with the vegetables that we bring in, I know, like, I have to do a daily check of tomatoes at a certain point because I need to make sure if they're ripe, they're getting in the freezer, so I'm ready to process. But squashes, I really try to make sure that I can get as long of, storage capacity as I can, because I'm not going to have time to actually do anything with them until, like, right now.
Right.
So February, January is when I actually get to these things. And that's the goal. It's what I'm doing now. I'm working through getting them dehydrated because it's more cost effective. But I wouldn't be able to do this in the middle of this season.
No.
You have the holidays and everything when all this stuff comes, ripens, ready to eat. we always look at storage. Like, if it is not a good store,
We're not
I'm not even
interested.
looking at it.
Right.
I don't care how good it is. Even our zucchini and squashes, I could tell you, sticking them in the refrigerator, they did fine.
Yeah.
I mean, because I was putting them in and getting to them when I could, and I was doing like whole drawers
At a time.
of squashes because we were going out every evening picking a bucket, and it was crazy. But they stored really well in the refrigerator. But as we did our research, we looked at the best way to store them, how to take care of them. It just worked really well for us. But we look at that for everything.
We do. We probably didn't on some of the weird stuff we were trying, just because we were more interested in trying them than thinking about preserving them.
But now that's all we look at it. Like, I need a long store. Like, I know pumpkins have to be processed first now. My pumpkins were the things that were going bad before my squashes. So my pumpkins have to be processed first. The winter squash could wait. Like, but the pumpkin has to be done now, because they're the ones that are going to go bad for me. Now, this baby berry, they say it's a good long-term store, which was another reason we grabbed it. I just remembered that. Sorry. But it's one of the things that I'm constantly looking at. Like, how long can I push this off? Like, when do I actually have to touch this for actual processing? Now, we put things in place to make sure we're keeping on top of it so it doesn't go bad. We have a weekly check of our squash. Go down there, check it every week, make sure it still looks good, make sure there's no smells, nothing weird going on, and make sure there's, because you're gonna be able to tell once one goes bad. You're gonna be able to start tell, but make sure they're not feeling soft or anything. And that's been working out really good this year. So those are our 8 things we look for. You have anything else to add that we forgot?
No, just, we are cutting back on the amount of new varieties. We're sticking more to tried and true ones, things that we do like, and, make sure you check in on Saturday for that video where we'll talk about, what are some of those tried and true ones.
The ones that have always worked for us.
Yeah.
Every time. Like, they're good. They're good.
Right.
We were not going to tell you this is not good. So, are you excited for our garden this year?
I'm always excited when it comes garden time.
Till it comes time for you to actually do the work.
Yeah, maybe that. But, having the fresh food, fresh veggies, cutting back,
New taters,
cutting back on our grocery bills by using what we have, growing, trying to be as self-sufficient as possible.
He loves new potatoes.
I do.
I'll have to show you my recipe. Super easy, super simple, and you'll never try another one ever. Yeah. It's the best. I don't think he ever wants them any other way. They're so good. For me, I'm excited. I'm really excited to get some more squash in the ground because, like, this year we've used so much of it. I'm really hoping that we have as good of a year this year, but I'm planning for us not to, so that's why I'm dehydrating and putting up all this squash, because if we don't, I gotta feed somebody pumpkin bread throughout the year.
That's right. Well, if you got any comments, questions, anything you want to hear in a future episodes, send it over to thecannykouple@yahoo.com and leave down below in the comments on, wherever you're listening this to, and we'll try to, answer any of those as well. What kind of seed varieties are you planting this year, that you're excited about? If you want to go over and check out our link tree, has links to all of our other content. Make sure to go over and check us out on TikTok. We're trying to grow up our following over there as well. So we'd really appreciate it.
And as always, thank you for joining us on Rural Reliance with the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.